Welcome back. Fern Britton is here this morning, and we're joined now by relationship expert Francine Kaye. Francine, fantastic to have you here because January, I didn't know this, but it makes sense, I guess, is divorce month.
It is divorce month, yes, absolutely. This is the divorce week was the week where most people filed for divorce, the first week in January, and the whole month goes completely mad.
Is it just as straightforward as spending as much time as you do probably the whole year with your family, your partner, and everything comes to a head? Is that what it's all about?
Well, it's you just,
December period?
People say, I'm not going to go into a new year in the same old way that I did previously. I'm not willing to put up with intolerable behaviour. I'm not willing to put up with and compromise myself and go through this kind of level of unhappiness. I'm just not willing to do it for another year. So January, that's the cut-off. And they won't do it before Christmas because of the children and because, you know, the lead up to Christmas, it's just not family stuff, it's just not the appropriate time. January, perfect.
Kind of understand that, I guess, but
Absolutely. Join a gym, get a divorce.
Join a gym, cut your hair, get a divorce, do the whole lot all together.
As the year goes on, you might start regretting it and think, actually, perhaps we can solve things.
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
yes.
there were a few notable celebrity couples split over the Christmas period. Russell Brand and Katy Perry are at the moment separated, and a reconciliation not on the cards, we understand. And sadly as well, Gethin Jones and Catherine Jenkins announced that they were no longer a couple over the Christmas period.
And there's a question mark over Johnny Depp and Vanessa
Paradis.
Well,
I saw that today, yeah. They're living separate lives, apparently.
For celebrities, I mean, this is a whole different ball game. It's very difficult because generally in a celebrity relationship, you've got what I call two maximisers. So you've got two people who both want to have that limelight. Now, in any relationship with any couple, you almost have to have a minimiser and a maximiser. So somebody who is a bit bigger and somebody who withdraws a little bit more so that you get more of a balance.
You're smiling there in a knowing way.
I think you're right.
If you get two big people together,
yes.
You know, and one isn't, and they both need that.
But that doesn't necessarily be celebrity, does it? You know,
no, of course not.
Couples where there's two very strong personalities.
Yes, yes. And if there's any level of competition, again, it's not just that. It's also the male-female thing. Because in a relationship, if a woman is competing with a man, she becomes masculine. So she loses that femininity. So there's so many different dynamics going on, but that one, you have to remain feminine because otherwise you're conversing like a man.
No,
so there's that part
you're so
of it
wise,
as well.
Francine, and you have some brilliant tips when to stay and when to go. And so to avoid what Fern rightly said could be regret come kind of March, April when you've made a really big decision like that. So give us some of your when to stay tips then.
When to stay, when you actually know there's more mileage left in the relationship and you know that it could be your attitude, it could be something that you're doing that is standing in the way of the relationship, you know, actually moving forward. Some people would much prefer to be right about how wrong the other person is than actually do what it takes to be in relationship.
Is that where counselling is very helpful? Because somebody else can point that out perhaps a bit easier than you can point it out to yourself.
Yes, absolutely. But also you need to know that when a couple are in conflict together, we don't have two adults anymore. What we actually have are two small children. So, for example, if I don't feel appreciated or I feel like you're controlling, where I don't feel appreciated is where I never felt appreciated. Where I find you controlling is where I've always found I'm being controlled. And so if you can understand the story that's going underneath, then you can generally put the couple back together again. I generally say there's only one place where I can't put a couple back together again, and that's if the sexual chemistry isn't there. If it's not there, that's not something that you can really fix.
That's interesting. Dr. Ruth used to say that. She said, I say to people, if you no longer want to have sex, then go and find another partner.
Yes. Yes.
Which is very interesting.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I've always wanted to be like Dr. Ruth.
You're best than Dr.
Let's talk about cheating. There's a headline about the fact that perhaps taking back a cheat in a marriage can make the marriage stronger. Would you ever be able to kind of forgive and forget and move on?
I've been in a very fortunate position where that hasn't ever had to be a decision I've had to make. And I hope that there would be enough love and friendship in a marriage that maybe one could get over it. On the other hand, I think I'd feel so betrayed that I might not be able to.
I can't see how it wouldn't change
everything.
Yeah, and every feeling that you had
and in
towards
which
that
case
person.
perhaps you have to be incredibly adult and sort out, do I like you enough?
Yes, is there
to
enough
want
qualities?
to? Yeah.
You know, with the affair situation, there's something that happens. It's what you make it mean that is going to dictate whether or not you can go forward. So if I make it mean that I have been completely betrayed, and you don't love me, in order to have done that, you can't love me, I'm missing the point. There is no random behaviour. So everybody is behaving in a way to get their needs met. The person who has the affair has needs that aren't being met. And you really do have to look at your own role in that, so that when you take back the person who's had the affair, if you address the situation that happened and you don't make it mean it's about me,
you know, ruining your own self-esteem.
without ruining, yes, because it's not about you. It's impacting you, of course it's impacting you, but the fact that that person did that, they weren't getting their own needs met in some way. So you can build from ground zero, but then you need to stack quite a lot of evidence that this person is going to be faithful, and you know, and you start the work together.
It's tough.
It's tough.
It's just tough.
Now,
And how
Cameron-
important is faithfulness to you? Sorry.
Yes,
No, no,
exactly.
well,
Is that a value?
Yeah.
Well, it
Which
would
I
be for
believe
most
it is,
people.
exactly.
Yes.
David Cameron runs the country, and he also goes out on weekly date nights with Samantha, apparently. I'm not sure what's elicited this outpouring about his relationship, because there were some headlines about his wedding night, which was too much for me. But he apparently manages dinner at least, or some kind of date, once a week with her, which seems incredible.
Perfect. Because, like running the country, his relationship still needs working on. So if he doesn't work on
I hope
that,
his relationship's in a bit better state, actually.
you know, it's got to be as high priority for him. Because if it's not, a man needs emotional stability. So in order for him to run the country, if he's nice and stable emotionally at home and they have a good relationship, you know, we can set him out in the morning after his Weetabix and he can do a jolly good job. So I think he's wonderful. He's setting a great example. So if he can keep that going, you know, I don't even know where he finds the time to do it, but if he can keep that going and he keeps that as a priority in his relationship, you know, we're going to have somebody who runs the country from
Do you believe him? Do you believe it's every week?
I'm not entirely sure whether I believe it. I think, you know, obviously there must be a grain of truth in there, but it sounds a bit like a PR spin, like he remembers almost every second of his wedding night. Well, he didn't have enough to drink, did he? Clearly, because nobody can remember every second, surely.
Or as one of the columnists today said, it wasn't cheap carver then that he was drinking.
No, exactly. Exactly. But when you say a man needs emotional stability, that's very interesting. I mean, as a woman, my ears prick up. So what else do men need from us?
Well, what they need is for us to speak to them directly. What men don't like, and their ears fall off when this happens, by the way.
Deep in ears at home.
Yes, deep in ears. What happens is their ears fall off when they're told something.
Yes.
So if you tell a man something, then he'll go completely against you. But if you ask him, so you have to also be direct. So if you said something like, "Oh, the bins are full up," he'd probably go, "Yeah, they are, aren't they?" But if you say, "Darling, would you mind taking the bins out? Will you do that for me?" He's going to say yes or no. And will is the best word to use for a man. So if I said to you, "Will you meet me at 4 o'clock?" as a woman saying that, it's a bit hard. But if I say to a man, "Will you meet me at 4 o'clock?" he goes, "Will I? Won't I? Oh yeah, I will." So you really have to be very clear about direct speech with men.
Are you speaking directly enough, do you feel?
Well, probably sometimes too directly. But the thing about the bin is interesting. Will you empty the bin for me, darling? Yes, I will. Now, I mean, could you do that within the next 2 or 3 minutes? Not a week next Thursday.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
So, you know, how do I put that as an appointment in the diary?
Well, you just say, "Will you empty the bin for me now?"
No.
And he says, "I'll do it after I've done whatever I'm doing."
Okay.
And then you've got to give him an opportunity to do that.
I'm seeing parallels with the way I talk to my 6-year-old son. I'm seeing those kinds of parallels. Yeah,
It's
direct,
just
simple
knowing how
language.
to speak man.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm crossing the bridge, I need to be able to speak man, because in that country, in man country, they do things very differently. They have different cultures. If I go over there and I speak woman, they won't understand.
Next week we'll be having language lessons with Francine and get that spot
You're
on.
quite right, though, Francine. It's very, very good.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Francine. Always wonderful to have you here. I hope that helped you. Certainly helped 2 of us. I'm not naming any names around here. Fern, lovely to see you. And
Lovely
good luck
to
with
see you,
everything
Gabby.
else you're
And you,
doing.
darling.
And watch, of course, 101 on Friday, 8:30 on BBC One.